In the chairs on a Wednesday. Good morning, everybody. Paul Ihander with you. Max Goren is back as well as we get things rolling after a little rough night around the triangle. Hopefully you all weathered it through. We took one quick power hit at my house, which disrupted everything for all of 10 seconds. But I know some of you are dealing with a little bit bigger issues. So we're with you in spirit. There's no doubt about it. Hopefully we can make the next hour of your day a little bit more bright than normal outside of getting your power back on. As Miley Cyrus would say, it's the climb. Jonathon Brooks is back. Jonathon Brooks is back on the field for the Carolina Panthers. Day one in pads. Day one to see if he could bounce off bigger guys, if he can hit the turf and not worry about it after back-to-back ACL tears. So Jonathon Brooks, which everybody, eyes were on him. It was the strangest thing. After we talked about it yesterday, the first thing you see on Panthers.com this morning is a story about the number 2 running back for the Panthers. He was asked following the first practice, that padded practice, was it a benchmark?
I think that was a part of the process, yes. I think in the back of my mind, obviously as a football player, you have to get back out there and be able to learn how to take hits, learn how to get your contact balance right back. And, obviously the first day of pads, it was good. I think as a team we could have had a better day, but it was good.
No, but it's about you. No, it's about you. It's about you. We asked about you. We didn't ask about the rest of the team. We asked about you. Because they brought in other running backs to make sure that you are okay, that if you go down again, that if you break a run and then somehow break something else, that there is some help behind you. Didn't ask about the rest of the team. Not worried about the rest of the team's practice. Most people are worried about you as a player and as a human being. And you saw the smile when he was asked about the questions in terms of how it felt to be back out there and the lessons that he can learn. And the lessons that he has learned as a running back. Chuba Hubbard's not going to be able to do it all, no matter how much they work out together, no matter how much time they spend before and after practice. Allen Iverson once said it, we're talking about practice. But in this case, it's a little more special to get him back out there for sure. And he leaned on Chuba Hubbard, and he leaned on others to come back. And so positive news, right? That's positive news for the Carolina Panthers, who we'll probably see him bounce it around against some Arizona Cardinals second stringers and third stringers in Canton, Ohio, a week from tomorrow, which will be great. And that'll be a good understanding, a real understanding of what he's truly capable of. Because I don't know what you tell your defense, what you tell your guys who are trying to earn jobs like, hey, that dude there, hit him, but don't hit him. I don't think that's the conversation you have. And yesterday he wasn't wearing any special color or anything like that. He was out there on the field doing what he needed to do. So big steps for him. That's very positive. However, for the rest of the team, which Jonathon Brooks tried to talk about and did say it wasn't a great day, Dave Canales, the golden retriever of the NFL, was asked about standards and that first padded practice.
Just the physical nature that we play with. The way that we're used to practicing, it just didn't start that way. That was really the first period. We had 3 team periods, and right in the middle of that period, I kind of went over to the defense and said, hey, you guys drive this thing. We got to show up, and everybody's got to get to the ball. And so they took to the challenge, and they responded well. But I want them to drive it. And they know what to expect. They know what to expect from each other. And so I want them to make sure that they take ownership of that part. And we'll remind them as coaches, but we got to have it. That's the way this game is played.
I'm not sure that they do, though, Dave. I'm not sure that they do. You've incorporated some new bodies. You have 2 new guys in your lineup. It's 3 months of off-season playbooks and running through Madden and OTAs and mini camps and things like that. True professionals, most professionals, can at least get a feel of what's going on around them. But it's not every day that they're going to what is known as a mini camp. They stepped away for several weeks. They went fishing. They went and proposed to their girlfriends. They went and bought homes. They went and arranged camps for their kids. There's a million other things that goes along with that. If they were sluggish in period 1, fine. To be honest, fine. If the defense has to drive things, good. Let them drive things. Set that expectation, absolutely. But up to their standards, coach, this is me making an excuse. You lost one of your playmakers. You're asking guys to do different things, and you're trying to figure out where your pass rush is going to come from. You're trying to figure out how aggressive those guys can be. You don't think in the back of their head that they're not thinking about Nick Scorton going down? Like, they have to. They all took a knee. They all watched him get carted off and dapped up. Like, that has to sit in their head. Like, nobody wants to go down early. He went down without pads. Now I've got pads on. Different experience. Different things. We all know this. When you put on a new suit for the first time after you haven't been wearing suits and you're like, I'm just going to wear polos and jeans, and then you're asked to wear a suit, and that suit never quite fits right until somebody tells you, somebody looks at you in the mirror, puts their hand on your shoulder, boys, and they go, you look good. Don't worry, you look good. You look sharp, right? Those are those moments that you have with your favorite uncles or your best neighbor or your guardian or just the guy that's selling you the suit. Like, you have to feel comfortable in that skin. And day one in pads, I wouldn't expect anyone to feel comfortable in their skin at all. I'm like, that's just, for me, and I know I'm supposed to talk to you about sports and get you going and whatnot, but there's some common sense that has to come into play when it comes to a first day of camp and over-exaggerating things and understanding things. And I think Dave Canales understands that kind of stuff. But there's a mental part of that a lot of times doesn't get talked about with guys. It's why we started talking about Jonathon Brooks 5 minutes ago. There's a mental thing that comes along with it. Someone had to put their hand on his shoulder at some point yesterday, and I was not there. I don't have the resources to be there, nor do I have the time to be at camp. But I am assuming at some point a Carolina Panthers position coach or one of his teammates put their hand on his shoulder and said, dude, that looked good. Dude, you bounced off him great. Hey, you popped up pretty quick there. That's good. You're okay? Like, you flexed it out, you feel a little bit better? Absolutely. And at the end of the day, Jonathon Brooks is smiling. But you're kidding yourself if you don't think there's hesitancy among that team. And some guys exude it. Some guys just show it off like, screw it. Motor's going. It's Fast and Furious, right? Dom Toretto, listen, I'm going to go quarter mile. I'm going to go past that thing, and I'm gonna race you to the end. You don't want to do that, Tom. Yeah, you do. Like, you have that mentality. And others are a little, Brian, the Brian to the Dom is like, dude, you may not want to do that. But I'll join you eventually. I will get there eventually when you and I are ready to race. That is what it is in the heads right now. I'll get there when I need to get there. Am I fighting for a spot? Sure. Am I also aware one of my teammates went down and that's in the back of my head? Absolutely. It's when people get scared by bees, when people get into near crashes on Capitol Boulevard, of which someone was tailgating folks down Capitol today. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, this is the most congested road on the planet. You're not going to get anywhere any faster. Like, a minute faster doesn't save you any time unless you were late to begin with, and that's on you. That's not on the 100 other cars that are around you trying just to get to work paying $16 an hour. I'm sorry. Slow the F down. That's Max. I'm Paul. Next up, 99.9 The Fan. There you go. There you go. Panthers back in camp today. There was an interesting thought. Chad Ochocinco visited the Carolina Panthers yesterday. Chad Johnson, for those of you old heads, Ochocinco because he decided to put the 8 in Spanish and the 5 in Spanish on the back of his jersey, and that's what we went with. And it's great. For a guy like that, branding, I'm not sure why we didn't think of that sooner. Like, he is a hero among heroes. Plays soccer now. He's probably in Charlotte for the MLS All-Star game tonight against Liga MX's best. He was at the Panthers camp yesterday. He's a Panthers fan. He says that wide receiver room is his favorite. I don't understand that at all. Like, is this random pick? Was he bored? Does he not like Justin Jefferson? Is he not a big Jackson Smith and Jigba fan? Is he not a C.D. Lamb, George Pickens crew? But he likes the Carolina Panthers. So why question it, right? Why question it?
I mean, they do have the Offensive Rookie of the Year.
They have him. I mean, he's not going to loan Ochocinco any money.
No, definitely not.
Drake London's making $140 million. He doesn't like Drake London, Kyle Pitts. That's a pretty good receiver room there.
Kyle Pitts isn't a receiver.
He practically is where they line him up. He's bailed me out of a few fantasy football GMs. I'm just saying. Just saying. Oh, Chad Ochocinco visited the Panthers yesterday. In the 2 glorious minutes that they talked with him in the afternoon, they asked him about success because he knows a lot about it. And he was asked about Tetero McMillan and how T-Mac can continue and not have the sophomore slump in the NFL.
2 words, and they both start with the letter C: consistency and confidence. And that'll take you as far as you want to go. Obviously, you want to minimize the errors, you want to minimize the mistakes, but they're going to happen at some point. But just be as consistent as possible, because consistency is all it comes down to, especially at the position of receiver.
There you go. I wish they would have asked that question to him, not about the most successful receiver on the team, but the guy that's been fighting for a role. The guy that's been fighting through, is it confidence issues? There are certainly consistency issues when it comes to Xavier Legette. I wish, again, I don't have the means to be down at camp every day. We live in Raleigh, North Carolina. I can't be in Charlotte every afternoon. Can't do this show from down there. You know what? I don't say that I can't. I'm just saying life doesn't afford me that opportunity. Let's put it that way. For a myriad of reasons. If I were to ask that question and they didn't want to soft-foot it around and, play a little grab butt, I would have asked him about what Xavier Legette needs to do. That would have been I think that would have been a much more constructive piece of information outside of Tetero McMillan. And there are slides that come with first-year receivers, first-year players at most positions. Usually that second year, for some reason, unless you're a superstar, does get a little tougher. Maybe it's because coaches ask you to do more. Maybe it's expectations that fans have of them. Like, hey, dude, you had 1,000 yards last year. Why not go for 1,200? Why not get more? Well, you're dependent on others to get you free. You're dependent on Chris Brazzell to step up and make some catches in that third receiver slot. You're dependent on Jalen Coker. You're dependent on Tommy Trouble getting off his block. You're dependent on Chuba Hubbard being successful in a running game. And you're damn dependent on Bryce Young getting you the ball in spots where you can make catches. Consistency, that's definitely a key that's going to have to happen. All right, something else Panthers related yesterday. ESPN's Jeremy Fowler wrote an article. When Vita Vea said he did not want to be in Tampa and asked for a trade, they put out some spots. At least Fowler put out kind of 5 kind of good landing spots for a guy like him to go to. Remember, this is a guy who's set to earn $17 million, but none of it's guaranteed. Like $1 million is what he gets. Everyone suggests it's way below market value. This is a guy that can create pressure. This is a guy that can get you sacks. This is not Derek Brown. Derek Brown's a massive human being who's designed to stop the run. The Carolina Panthers have tried to employ as many possible free agents at defensive end and at the outside linebacker position to get sacks. And when's the last time you saw a really awesome Carolina Panthers sack celebration? Like a really awesome one. Like, I'll give you a moment because I can't. I can't think of one. And so the Panthers are searching for that. And so do you go get a guy like that that's not just a run stopper, but a guy that gets to the quarterback? Do you go get a guy like that? The issue is that among these 5 spots, Carolina's cap situation isn't the best. And so if Carolina goes into that hunt to go get a guy like that, intra-division, by the way, which isn't exactly the greatest thing of all time, but it happens across professional sports, so let's kind of set that one aside, they would have to cut somebody. They would have to make a move, clear some cap space, or do some restructuring amongst a team that doesn't have a lot of places to restructure to begin with. But wouldn't that be pretty sweet? Like, you could probably free up some of these linebackers now to get to the quarterback if I just had big dudes up front.
Yeah, if he could be had for not too much in return, like maybe some second, third day picks or something like that, maybe wouldn't be a bad pickup. It also depends on how much do they believe in Lee Hunter, the rookie, to make a big splash and
he's a big
have
dude.
a big role. He's 6'4", 320, so
and a man.
He's in there jamming up the middle as well, and I feel like some of the feedback and some of the things we've heard on him so far have been pretty positive as well. So we'll see how much they believe he can kind of fill that role. But if they think that a good veteran could be better suited for that, maybe worth the call just to see what Tampa would be looking for if they do decide to make that move.
Carolina's standing kind of on the outside of these five because of the cap space situation, really. And you're looking at a team much like the 49ers who are on this list who could use, a pass rush and some big cats up front. In terms of cap space, the other teams, New England, LA Chargers, and Las Vegas Raiders. I don't know if I'm going to the Raiders if I'm him. I'm like, I guess if you're talking about tax situation, it's ideal to go there. But if you're looking to play for a team that's going to contend, it's the Patriots or the Chargers at this point. And those are the teams with the most cap space and the most flexibility. They can just take them on. And you really don't have to do much at that point. Just hand them over another big body, somebody that can go in. This is not quite like a Micah Parsons kind of deal. It's a substantial, like a guy that will create plays for you, a Pro Bowler for sure. Generational, though. There are a lot of generational guys, but this is a guy that should be in demand, and based on the price tag, comes at a really, really reasonable spot. That's undeniable. Panthers being involved in that one, that would be interesting. That would be interesting. See if the cap genius can make some things happen.
I'm Max Goren with 3 things you need to know right now from 99.9 The Fan. Yesterday was the first day of padded practice at Carolina Panthers training camp, and another young player left with an injury. Second-year tight end Mitchell Evans was carted off on Tuesday morning with an apparent left leg injury. Coach Dave Canales said Evans rolled his ankle, and trainers are optimistic about a timely return. ESPN's Adam Schefter reports this morning that former Buccaneers quarterback Kyle Trask is working out for the Panthers today. Trask played college football at Florida before assuming a backup role in Tampa for the past 3 seasons. He has completed 4 of 11 passes in his NFL career. The Durham Bulls were unable to take the field last night due to severe weather, so they'll play a doubleheader today at the DBAP against the Gwinnett Stripers. Bulls coverage can be found on 620 AM Buzz Sports Radio, 99.9 FM HD2, and WRAL News Plus. First pitch of Game 1 is scheduled for 5:25 p.m. For all the latest news on your favorite teams, download the 99.9 The Fan app or visit 999thefan.com.
Yesterday, they tallied up the votes, came out late in the afternoon. 185 media members voted on the ACC football order of finish, preseason. Now, of the 185, I would say 120 probably actually attended games last year. Of those 120, probably 2/3 of them were regulars at ACC contests that weren't necessarily in their hometown. And then there's the rest of us. ACC predicted order of finish for the local teams. NC State led that way. They led the pack, no pun intended, at 7th. Duke was 10th. And Wake Forest was 13th. Carolina was 15th. But ACC media members went full chalk with Miami at the top of the ACC in terms of winning the whole enchilada. Number 2, SMU. Number 3, Louisville. With a few extra drinks, NC State could have moved up. A few extra drinks, Virginia Tech could have moved up between the spots of, and Georgia Tech, between the spots of 5 and 8. Here's the guessing game beyond Miami, who the runner-up is. There was one person who didn't understand the voting because they gave Stanford a first-place vote.
Either that or they know something that we don't.
Stanford.
Even though Stanford was picked to finish last.
Correct. Wow. First of all, wow, and this is now we need to be transparent about who did that one. Florida State had 3 first-place votes. Georgia Tech, Clemson, Louisville, SMU all had first-place votes as well. Miami was full chalk, and for a good reason. If you look at Miami's schedule, now that we have seen the predicted order of finish, of the 17 teams, not counting Notre Dame, I'm not counting Notre Dame as part of this because they are not part of the poll. Of the 17 teams, in order of finish, they only play 3 of the top 10 teams. 3. Top half, I should
Yeah,
say.
but
Duke is number 4 on
their first game is against a team with a first-place vote, though.
It is. If Stanford knocks off Miami, and this game is in Palo Alto,
It's one of those ACC Friday nights, which is something they made a point of on the release of the predicted order of finish. But it's week 1.
They've got a few of those. They have Stanford, but their next test, truly after Stanford, who Max mentioned, got a first-place vote, is Clemson at home in October. Their schedule sets up, and I think a lot of folks looked at it, and I looked at it too, but I didn't know strength of schedule or where some of these teams were going to be laid out at. Miami has the easiest path. It's the simplest path to get to where they want to, and the Notre Dame game that they have, which does not count, which happens to be in Notre Dame, is so late in the season it may not matter, as opposed to might play a role into the CFP. But because this year, if you're a conference champion, you automatically get into the CFP, that game doesn't mean as much. You've got Duke and Virginia Tech to close out your season along with Boston College.
All at home, too.
Yeah. This path for Miami seems incredibly simple. Was set up to make sure that they get there. Not a conspiracy. Not saying that. Asterisk, air quotes. I'm just saying, wow, if you were going to pave a road, this is the road to be paved. And then I want to say that, and it's kind of tongue-in-cheek because it's not, because it's felt like that we were all kind of just wringing our hands about the rest of the ACC. Like we weren't sure because of how the portal was going to treat guys, because of where quarterbacks were and how things laid out. Like Virginia Tech is 8th on this list. They fired their head coach, okay? That head coach is now a coordinator under James Franklin of Virginia Tech, and they're saying right now that Virginia Tech is a top half team in the ACC without having seen them play a down of football under a new head coach. Not one.
The middle tier, and frankly, the whole thing is kind of a crapshoot because, again, until these teams take the field, like it's hard to truly know for sure who's going to be good and who's not. But particularly, like the middle, like 6 to 8 teams in the conference, like feels like in terms of at least preseason polling, it could be pretty interchangeable. And while we're talking about Miami's early season schedule as well, it's an interesting quirk. They don't play on a Saturday until week 4. They have a Friday, a Thursday, a Friday, and then they play on a Saturday against Central Michigan. So
you're right.
ACC really trying to lean on some non-Saturday games. Also, some of those are non-conference, but their first 2 conference games at Stanford in week 1 and then at Wake Forest in week 3. Wake Forest, I think, maybe slept on a little bit again, which is kind of a perpetual thing for them.
Let's see if Gio Lopez throws for 500 yards.
13th in the preseason poll for them after they won 8 games in the regular season.
They were a bowl team last year.
They went 4-4 in the ACC and ended up 9-4 on the year in year 1 under a new head coach. So I think they probably end up finishing a little higher than projected here. But again, it's hard to say where this kind of second/third tier of teams will finish. I think everyone kind of expects that bottom 3, maybe 4 if you put in Syracuse, of Carolina, Boston College, and Stanford, except for the one voter who
really
voted Stanford first. That might have been a misclick. I don't know what the deal was with that.
No, they just reversed the order. They probably voted Miami. They were thinking Miami, and they just flipped it the other way around. It's
pretty clear though. Like beyond Miami, there's a lot of parity within the ACC. Like it very much feels like at this point before the season starts, it's Miami and then kind of everybody else.
Were we trying to make like a what's the character in Inside Out? Anger. Yes, Anger. The red guy that's voiced by the comedian, and I can't remember his name for the life of me. The Manny Diaz just got bulletin board material. Like, he loves the chip. Like, I think he talked about it last year, too, when Duke was picked, like, 7th or 8th in the conference. And, of course, they ended up winning the ACC championship. Like, I remember him talking about it during one of his coaches shows last year with David Shoemate. How, like, well, what do you think of you being picked, like, in the middle of the conference? He goes, good. He goes, good. I want to prove to everybody that they're idiots. I'm like, you picked the ACC champion, Duke. They say you. I said, I was part of this crew that voted. 10th. 10th in the ACC. Now, I don't think I put him 10th, but I'm like, if you wanted to, if Manny Diaz isn't waking up, good morning, coach, by the way, if he's not waking up mad and taking this to his team and putting up and going, they think we're going to finish 10th. Like, not even single digit in the ACC. Like, there are 17 teams, and we lead the second half. There are 2 numbers by our name in terms of where we are supposed to finish. And the team behind us in this voting got 3 first-place votes in Florida State. Like, he should be all about the disrespect this season. Like, if it wasn't in play, and it was last year, and we know it because he said it, like, this year, man, he should be running on fire. There should be smoke coming out of his head. Like Duke, the Blue Devils thing, like they should get an inflatable Blue Devil and have them run out of the mouth of the Blue Devil, and this thing should just spit fire and smoke. Oh, just give him something. Give him something to believe in after all the offseason stuff. Like, if you want to dial that up a big notch, there you go. Duke, I just handed you a marketing plan. You have it. Take it, run with it. It's yours. You don't have to give me credit. And put Manny Diaz on the front of that poster and just have him spewing fire. That's where he needs to be. So, Miami picked to finish first. We'll see how it all shakes out. Again, NC State 7th on this list. Duke, number 10, as we mentioned. Wake Forest, 13. 15, North Carolina. And we are a month away from games. I'm sorry about the whole countdown thing.